You know, Andy, you know you're with a consummate musician, a consummate professional when he always has a number of guitars at the get-go.
They're right there.
Right at the ready, man, right at the ready. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, look at that.
Oh, dude.
I'm like, whoa, the whole
Wait a minute.
It's Kyle. The band is Beware of Darkness. Talking about their brand new album. I should say their 1-year-old album, almost to the note. It was released back in September of 2016. Are You Real? The second release from Beware of Darkness, and it's Two Doods Reviews. Kyle, it's been a long time, brother. Good to see that your hair hasn't changed too much.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's longer, and it's not as wild.
Yeah.
It's because he's at home, man.
Mellowing out with old age.
Yeah, look at you.
So let me ask you, Santa Barbara, not necessarily a hotbed of rock and roll musical entertainment. Do you reside in Santa Barbara right now?
Yeah, I'm here right now.
Okay, that's a beautiful place. Some of the finest Pinot Noirs on the face of the planet.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Ooh, yeah, you guys gotta come down.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, we're
a weekend.
I want to go to the Sea Smoke Winery. I've heard Sea Smoke is good. I had a bottle of Sea Smoke a long time ago, and a friend of mine from back in Texas says, "Oh, this is the best Pinot Noir ever." And I'm like, "You're from Texas. You know what the hell you're talking about." And she sent me this Sea Smoke, and I went, "Sea Smoke? That's a horrible name for a winery." And I opened the bottle, and I'm like, "Damn, this stuff's legit."
Did it taste like smoke?
Yeah. You guys we can come down and do Sideways, the sequel.
Shit, yeah.
Yes, we're in.
Two dudes go sideways.
Two dudes go sideways with rock stars.
Like,
yeah, we're up in the game.
How do you go wrong with that?
Up in the game. So we wanted to bring you on the program today to talk about this amazing and diverse and sometimes schizophrenic new album, Are You Real? Now, again, this sucker's been out there for about a year, but it hasn't necessarily been on my radar until about, I don't know, it was a month or so ago that our mutual friend Cheryl Valentine turned me on to it, and I went, "Whoa, Motherfucker is a great song. What are you doing?" She said, there were some challenges. We, sent it to the wrong class of radio station or the wrong format of radio stations. So I wanted to ask you, before we get into the album review, and so, I don't know if you've watched any of our other reviews, Kyle, but we just kind of cruise through each song on the record, about a minute and a half of each song, talk a little bit about it, and then we move on right to the next one. But was any of that purposely done, and was any of that your call as far as where you guys tried to pitch and market this album to begin with? Yeah. There was a very. I'll give you the short story about it, and you know how it goes. But yeah, the last cycle we got into active rock, as you know. Active rock for people who don't know, it's kind of an inside term. It's rock stations that play like Disturbed and Metallica and 3 Days Grace and Chevelle and stuff of that nature. So we got in with those bands, and we just went with it, and it was interesting. So, because at the time Alternative was playing folk music, and we were too heavy to hang with them, but then I don't think we were heavy enough to hang with like Asking Alexandria and stuff. Yeah. So there were a lot of we were like somewhere in between, and there was a lot of humorous nights where we'd show up to, like a Carolina Rebellion pre-show in a trailer park.
Oh, you're kidding.
I mean, now it's not funny with all the stuff going on because there's just like Confederate flags everywhere, but like, I walked out with pink pants, with the piano, and I don't think anyone knew what was going on.
Like, so, what the fuck is this pussy bullshit? Get the fuck off the stage, bro! Metal up your ass!
Like talking about feelings and stuff, and it was odd because like it made us be more heavy to fit in with it, but then it kind of went down a path that I didn't really want. So at the second record, we had like a conversation before, and we're like, man, we'd really like to break into, alternative, just because I feel like that's a better fit. So we tried to do that, and then it just didn't connect. But then, like, Motherfucker just got in with like the heavy music, and I just talked to our label, and people just didn't like it. And I think it's funny because I listen to the heavier music on stations like that, and I just don't understand it at all. you know? So the biggest takeaway I
You
had...
grew up in Santa Barbara. You don't have that much angst, man. You got feelings. I mean, how can you be so angry? I'm like, man, I'm pissed today. Screw it, beach.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm from Ventura originally, and we used to...
Are you really?
Yeah.
Talked about this.
Yeah. No, I was born in Santa Paula.
I'm more angsty than Santa Barbara.
Oh my gosh. Well, no, but I remember. Well, you have to realize this was back in the '70s, right? And we would say, "Oh, we're going to the Santa Barbara Freak Show," and we'd drive through and hippies everywhere, and that was our impression of Santa Barbara.
Yeah, that's still the same. So yeah, I mean, like the takeaway is like, the takeaway is like, I think I read in like, I forget where it was. It's some Buddhist quote where it's like, we only have a right to the fruit, or sorry, we only have a right to our labor and not the fruits of our labor, you know? So as long as I make art that I stand behind 100%, it doesn't matter, you know, where it goes or what happens to it, you know?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And you never,
art.
You know?
It's like raising a kid. You raise the kid, and, you know, hey, he might go out and be the next, developer of Microsoft, and then again, he might be stuck in McDonald's for the rest of his life.
So true.
Just let him send him off. So, motherfucker, I'm back. Cut number 1 from Beware of Darkness in the album Are You Real? It's Two Dudes Reviews. Check it out.
Is done, motherfucker, I'm here in the now. I'm about to send the fuck out. Ooh, inspirational.
38 seconds in, man. All the whole vibe is making me want to turn it up here on the mixer just because it's like.
Prisoner to the skull-sized kingdom of my mind. Forget who.
And then this comes in, and I'm like, wait a minute. This almost sounds like a different song, right? I feel it. It's a bit of a bridge.
A new beginning is now. Give me your trust.
And then I hear kind of like a Beatlesque almost. You know, there's almost a smile
Kyle's
at this
voice,
part
though.
of the song. I know.
Listen, what's what happened? Yeah.
There is a season for every part of life. There is a season. My time is now.
Yeah, okay, so when I say it's kind of schizophrenic, that's kind of what I mean, right? It's like it takes you, at least with this particular song, and not every song is like that on the record, but with this first song that I heard, it takes you to a certain ledge, and then all of a sudden does an about-face and kind of a detour into this Beatlesque thing. By the way, I have to compliment you. One of the most amazing vocal ranges I think I've ever heard. You hit highs that even my son, when he was listening to the first time, he goes, Is this another Greta Van Fleet song? We just got through interviewing Greta Van Fleet, and that guy's got an outrageous range. And I said, no, it's a. And he says, is this a girl singing? I said, no, it's a guy. It's Beware of Darkness. They were at the house a long time ago, and he goes, oh yeah, Dad, I remember that.
Yeah.
So tell me about Motherfuckin' and you know where you were at when you wrote that song and decided, well, let's make this one open up the album.
The biggest thing I was dealing with at the time was uncertainty.
Yeah.
About life, you know, about music, about just everything, you know, and we built something and then it fell apart for a minute, and then I was learning how to deal with that. And in the past, I would deal with that by just getting depressed and falling apart.
Yeah.
So I thought, all right, I've sort of tasted this before. Like, I wonder if I have other ways to cope with this and other ways to handle this. And I think it just came down to, like, I just needed to see things differently and needed different attitudes on how to see life. And, you know, it's the different, it's like, I tell people it's like that Vanilla Sky quote where it's like, you can't taste sweet without the sour.
Yeah.
You know? And I tasted the sour, and I got to a point where I was like, all right, I'm going to just try to taste the sweet and be positive and believe that your life always gets better and believe in a purpose that's bigger than you, you know? So that was personally, that was what I was going through. And that theme kind of ties the whole record together, and that song came out of that.
Okay, all right.
And it was, because to go back with that too, it's like when adversity comes at us, we have two choices. We're either going to rise above it and fight, or we're going to just fall apart. And that song was my way of saying, whatever comes my way, I'm going to rise above it. You know, like, the mistakes I've made in the past aren't going to define me. Depression's not going to define me. Anxiety's not going to define me. You know, who I was 2 years ago is not who I am now. I can change. You know, so
cool.
It became like not a mission statement. I know it's really unsexy to say.
A mission statement. Fight or flight, bro. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Like a mission statement. Like a mission statement, or like just a personal like mantra of like, you know, I'm better than this, and I can change.
Okay,
so,
and that moves us along to song number 2 on the album, which you know, is a Christmas song on the album called "Blood, Sex, Violence, and Murder" from Beware of Darkness.
Sex, violence, and murder, that's my kind of shit. How you do? Blood, sex, violence, and murder, that's my kind of shit. How you do? Take me back to when I was getting everything I saw was perfect as it was, unafraid of anything. Now I'm older and I'm colder. I've been being down one too many times by this world to know it's easier to live in a shell. I don't wanna live a life of quiet desperation more. I don't wanna hide, I wanna stand up and fight. Ooh. It's kill, be killed in a modern world. Ain't nobody gonna help you when you're down and low. It's kill, be killed in a modern world. They're gonna watch you fall and they're gonna sing blood, sex, violence, and murder. That's my kind.
You guys had some songs from the first record that were soundtrack songs. This one sounds like it could go on, I don't know, a suspense thriller, or it could, you know, go on like an action movie or something like that. Tell me about Blood, Sex, Violence, and Murder.
I will. I'll tell you. I laughed because I made a prediction with this record when we finished it. I told like everyone on our team, I was like, this is gonna get so many placements. Like, it's gonna be the top placement record of the year.
And you can make good money with placements, yeah?
A lot of money, and it got none.
Got none. You know,
Like 1.5, I think.
oh, you're kidding.
That's like all I can do is laugh at that.
I tend to, when I listen to music, tend to gravitate to the beat and the sound of the music.
Yeah.
Jave, because of what he does, listens to lyrics.
Yeah.
Melody.
And
I listen to melody, too.
You miss it a lot, but you hear the lyrics more so than I do.
Let me grab some of this beer, by
And
the way.
it's fantastic doing this. I really appreciate this because he's the
Yeah, I
pro,
appreciate
right?
you guys.
He's the pro. He's the
Yeah.
pro. This guy here has been doing this his whole life, and I'm just comic relief most of the time, probably. But I've been a musician my whole life as well, and I listened to this after talking to you just not 5 minutes ago about motherfucker, which I can only remember that word in the song. I sing that song all the time. It's a motherfucker. That's all I know.
Motherfucker.
And it sounds like Wonder Woman, I think, when I sing it. But you know what I'm saying? It's this, when I listen to this now, there's that consistency you were looking for, and there's also there's that power, there's that angst as I'm forced now in headphones to listen to the words, thinking about it, right? And now I'll listen more.
Yeah.
In a different perspective.
Of course.
Yeah, I like that. So, the song, it's interesting what you said about the schizophrenic thing, and it might, I don't know if this is right, but the difference between this record and the last record is the songs came in pieces. So, like, for Motherfucker, I had to write it 2 or 3 times and then put pieces together, and with Blood Sex, I had to do that too. I probably wrote 5 or 6 songs like I think 2 songs separately, like 2 or 3 times, and then I put that together.
And you guys did 100 songs and picked 12 of the 100 for the record, right?
Yeah, and I'm on 60 right now with like
for the next one.
Yeah, but the story behind Blood, Sex, Violence, and Murder is I got invited to a friend's house, and she's got a daughter who's I think maybe 14 or something, and she wanted to do theater, and they were the sweetest people ever. I went over and we hung out, and the daughter sang for me, and it was good, but the first thought that I had in my mind was like, wait till this world breaks you down. And I'm looking at like a 14-year-old girl who just was vulnerable with me in a moment and sang, you know? And I was like just icky negative, and I had a head full of like poison. So of course I didn't say that. I was like, oh my God, that's great. And then I walked out of the door, got in my car, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, where? Why are you like that? You know? And then I realized like, no, like that's how I see the world. You know? That has nothing to do with her. Like, I see the world. And then I was like, well, what beat you down? You know, like what happened to you? Yeah. And it's crazy because I got, like, I'll just be honest with you guys, like I got off that first record and I felt like it failed in so many ways, you know, because I'm like, the way that my brain works on just normally is like, I'm not like glass half full, glass half empty. I'm like, the glass is shattered on the floor. I just stepped on it and there's blood on my foot, you know? So, and I'm not trying to be a bummer, but I just want to talk about it because that's what it was. So I remember driving after a vocal lesson with my teacher, Katie Riggs, and I was sitting in LA traffic, and I was like beating myself up that, you know, the record was a failure. And mind you, it wasn't a failure. We had nothing, and we got to travel around the world and like do all kinds of rad shit. So I'm sitting on Highland and whatever, and like gridlock, and I was just thinking, I'm like, God, I'm a failure. And then I had another moment of realization where I was like, well, this is it, you know? Like, there's no, like, God's not going to come down and strike me with a thunderbolt, you know? Because I fucked up something. So it was, I guess it was good because I realized, like, well, you know, failure and having negative attitudes like that, they're just all in your head. And they don't really mean anything. So that's kind of where that song came from, too.
Okay, moving on.
Because like I know the song. It's like I was in the fucking post office the other day, like mailing out like 70 T-shirts, and I had a vinyl, and a guy next to me looked at the title for the song and just looked at me and snickered, and like he was like, "Oh, I like that title," haha. And then I realized like, okay, thanks, dude. He's not gonna get any of the meaning. Out of, you know.
Moving on, cut number 3 is dope. And so when you think about dope, you think it's a slang term for, hey, it's cool, or dope, or yeah, like I'm dope.
No, dope. You have to put the A in front of it, then you're a dope.
A dope, yeah. Or you think about an idiot, or you think about drugs.
Drugs.
You are a planet among stars, an ocean among raindrops, and woman, I think you're dope.
Oh, it's a love song.
Absolutely.
Tell me if you're down to ride, my appetite is running wild. Come on, make it fast. And if I take you home tonight, the only thing that's in my sight is how long will you last? Say you got me surrounded, baby. You got me with my hands up singing.
Okay, so incredibly catchy. I got to ask you, were you? Do you listen to much contemporary music before you, for inspiration, or just cruising around town? And if so, what type of music are you into personally? Because, it's tough not to draw some natural conclusions to some of, the wave of bands like the Black Keys or Royal Blood, or, these bands that have just a bassist and a drummer, or a guitar player and a drummer. And hear some of those similarities. I mean, were you inspired, influenced? Was there any thinking at all in regard to that with this particular album?
I mean, I only listen to hip hop. To be honest,
really?
Like, I haven't heard a Royal Blood record. I think. I mean, for me, the Black Keys, like Magic Potion, is my favorite record by them, and Attack and Release. I'm totally that dude who's like, I like their early records.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Well, when I'm listening to this right now, and I'm thinking, did you think about a remix dubstep of this song? I can hear this playing. My buddy Jeff Rock's Swingline Stapler on the Playa at Burning Man this week.
Yeah, well, I wrote it with this producer Trinity who does hip hop, and I've talked to her a lot of times about this. But if you listen to the original demo we made, it sounds like that. It sounds like hip hop, and then we took the production into a more rock style, for better or for worse, But yeah, it's funny. Like, I think I was listening to like the new D'Angelo record. I forget what it's called. Black Messiah, and then the new Kendrick Lamar.
I love Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, he's talented.
To Pimp a Butterfly. That's what I was listening to, and it doesn't really show, but it's like subtle stuff. But yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't know contemporary. I listen to anything, like, if it's good. Like, I love art. Like, I only really listen to R&B music and rap music, and then like 70s like folk music.
It's interesting you say that. I just interviewed Steve Winwood last week.
Oh, wait.
And one of the questions that I asked Steve is, I said, technology, has it become more of a help or a hindrance for producing new records? And then what do you listen to for inspiration? And you know what Steve Winwood is into?
No.
What?
He said, well, over here in Europe, we call it this electronic dance music. I said, oh, EDM. He goes, yeah, EDM. I think there's a lot of cool stuff. I think there's a whole movement with EDM. And I'm like, oh, wow.
That's so great.
Steve Winwood listens to EDM. That's amazing.
I only listen to like classic rock, like whatever.
No, I mean, he's into EDM
and anything, like
jazz trios.
Jazz trios. That's cool. I mean, it definitely influences, and that's interesting to hear you say, honestly, because you don't play R&B. You guys don't record. You don't do hip hop. You do something completely different.
Yeah.
And it's cool that that's an influence or your passion or your love when you listen, but something else is coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can hear the rhythmicness of the instrumentation as well in that.
Sure.
Let's move on to the song "Summer Days," and it's DAZE, so that has to mean feeling way groovy and being NORML perhaps. Who knows? If the Beatles wrote a West Coast beach song, it would be "Summer Days," right?
This is all about Santa Barbara. I can hear that right now.
Oh, yeah, you can hear it? Yeah, that's exactly it.
So was that really the inspiration for it, about just that feeling you get cruising the beach?
Yeah, it's like it's wanting to be somewhere you're not. So with Santa Barbara, it's coming up actually. Like there's something that happens in fall or autumn, and it's like you can taste it in the air, like an overcast morning. Or just something, and it makes me feel so good, and it's my favorite thing in the world. Yeah. So I wrote the song with Trinity too, and we talked about that feeling you get, and then we wrote a song about this. So it was like, I think it was me being in so dramatic. It was me being in LA, like thinking about Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
So.
And how much you miss home, because
Yes.
LA is no treat when you live in Santa Barbara.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. I mean, it's like an hour. It's like an hour and 20 minutes away. Like, I'll meet people from they moved to LA from London,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I know what it's like. I made the traumatic move from Santa Barbara to LA.
Okay, let's move on to cut number 5. Tell me this isn't fate.
Woman, do you wanna follow where the night will take us? 'Cause I do, honey. Every single minute of my life has led me right here to you. Take me home. Take me home.
How many times have you said that in your single life when you're hanging out at the bar and you're just gazing at a woman and saying, "Hey, I'm feeling this.
Been a
and
while.
I want you to take me home." I know it's been a while for you. I think sometimes you
Longer
just-
for you, fucker.
I know your girlfriend. I know sometimes what you must be thinking. I just want to be home right now. You can hang out here, have another glass of wine, and
I'll see you at home.
I'll see you at home. So tell me about. Tell me this isn't fate. Was that inspired by a true story?
It was inspired by this like there's this idea of, I think it's like a John Donne poem. I think it's like a seduction poem where it's like life is for the living, we're gonna die one day, so we might as well be together. So I always had this cool idea where, like, you think about every decision and mistake our ancestors made led us to this moment. So I thought, it's a cheesy way for me to grow, and you tell her that, So it's like, tell me this isn't fate.
Yeah, the stars have aligned. It's meant to be right now. It's a very hedonistic way of thinking. I mean.
Yeah, it's like hedonistic poetry.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can that be wrong?
It can't. Unfortunately, we're not going to Burning Man next week.
We are not.
That's a
Speaking of
hedon fest.
hedonism, have you ever been, Kyle?
No, I heard it's life-changing.
It is. It
we have
actually
too.
is. It is. I've been 5 years. He hasn't been once, but
I've
there
never
will
been.
be a year where he'll go.
Maybe
Yeah.
next year.
Maybe next year.
I'd
All
like
right.
I'd like to go.
Well, you're more than welcome to join our camp next year. Maybe we should make that happen.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's plan it.
Number 6. Are you real? It's Beware of Darkness. Ooh, very ominous sounding. Okay, real quick, is that just bass, or is that bass and guitar on top, or is that just bass thrown through some trippy effects?
It's a guitar. So the thing about this record is that with most everything on it, I had this idea of like a monolith where we could have a Moog 808s under it, guitars, like just like 7 layers of something is one
Yeah.
big thing. So that's what this is. I'm not really sure what it is. I think it's probably guitar and Moog and some synths and stuff. Yeah.
The word on the street is that you're nothing more. I heard that you're bleeding, sweat and shit, just like everyone else. You gotta know, you gotta know, you gotta know. If you hurt me, I hurt you. Come here, baby, let me show you how I care. I wanna know, is are you real? 'Cause you mean nothing to me. Do you really wanna start a war? Are you real? 'Cause you mean nothing to me.
It's interesting how you get a different perspective when you listen to a song or a record with headphones as opposed
Very
to
different.
to just on the stereo, because this is a really cool record from a headphone perspective.
I'm sitting here thinking, how can I get some private time to listen to some music in a headphone right now?
Yeah, I mean, under
Oh,
the
wait, sorry,
influence
Jill.
of
Sorry, Jill.
of
Sorry, honey.
something fun, that would be very cool. Are you real? I think we get it. Moving on to track 7, it's Angel from Beware of what? You have something else?
I had a
Sorry,
question.
Go ahead.
Dude,
Sorry, not
just a quick question. I mean, no, I'm listening to this song wondering, is there a woman who inspired it? Ooh.
No, not a woman. No.
Many women.
Is there?
man.
I'm just wondering. I mean,
It's
I
just-
listen to this and go, wait a minute, who inspired? Is there someone who inspired the song?
It's just about like a certain type of people that you run into in LA.
Oh, L.A. That makes sense. I got
Yeah.
it.
A certain
I
type
went to
of
college
woman.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Yeah. It's like you ever like we go to parties when we were just starting out, and you'd meet someone, and you'd ask them like, "Oh, hey, what's your name? What do you do?" And they say music, and then they just go on a 20-minute rant of their life, like totally unprovoked and unasked. And I just thought it was really bizarre. Like I can never do
I
that.
don't care, man.
Yeah, exactly. It got so deep one night. It was like this guy was telling us about like a synth he got from his grandma when he was like 4, and I was just, I would just leave, but like Dan would be too nice and like, hey, I'm gonna go. Sorry. So
Okay.
Track number 7.
There it is.
Beware of Darkness.
There it
is
is.
Angel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I wish I was a white dove angel. I'd send a little miracle your way just for me.
And it's interesting, from this point forward, the record gets very dark in my view.
yeah.
If you wanna get up to heaven, it's up to me. You could tell your boyfriend you saw an angel, but he never, ever, ever believe you. I lived, I cried, I fought, I died, I grew my angel wings today. I became an angel today.
I hear that layering you're talking about big time with this groove here. Yeah.
Was the Lord Almighty, then I know how every second of your life will go.
I imagine you have your eyes closed when you're singing these songs, because you're to me, it sounds like you're speaking from such a point of intimacy and passion. I mean, you're really thinking about, what the emotions the lyrics are trying to convey in these songs. Am I right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay.
And this song. You became an angel today. What's up with that?
You want to hear? It's crazy because I think it speaks to the art of just writing or songwriting. Like when I was like 7 or 8, and I'd go to church with my family, this Greek Orthodox church. I never wanted to go to Sunday school. I just wanted to sit in church with all the adults and look up at the gold sparkly icons and the tiles everywhere, and just be in awe of that and listen to the choir, because the choir was beautiful.
Sounds like me.
Yeah. Never wanted to go to Sunday school. So, and my mom, she'd always bug me and be like, "You have to go." So finally, like I relented one time, and I get to Sunday school. It was like me and like 5 other 8-year-olds, like just a really small room. And the teacher walks in, and she's this like blonde, plump, just really sweet lady, like the nicest lady in the church, just like an angel. And the first thing she says to us, like 8-year-olds, is God knows the exact moment and time you're going to die and how you're going to die.
Oh,
And-
Wow, that's not scary.
That's heavy for an 8-year-old.
I know, and it stuck with me. But then I was like writing songs for this record, and I came up with that beat on this Tempest drum machine, and started writing the song. And then all these angel lyrics came out, and then that idea just came back from nowhere.
Huh. Wow.
And the song kind of built on that idea. It's like using that as some weird, I guess, control or manipulation or power.
Yeah, I was raised Roman Catholic, and you know what my grandmother told me when I asked her at 8
Going
years
to
old? No, what I said, who is Jesus? I don't know who he is. And my grandmother said, you better believe in Jesus or you're going to die and go to hell. And I remember that vividly, like, oh my God, Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. All right, so now, talking about the schizophrenic nature of the album, It's a song that, to me, reeks of like the Cult and School of Fish, and big and open and fun and smiley, and it's called Surrender.
It's the only major song.
I hear Ian Asbury coming in
Totally
any second.
Cult. That's awesome.
Plus, we need more stutter songs today.
Dude, so wait, I'm not getting the darkness in the song. I mean, it is and it's not, but I mean, I like the beat. I like that. I'm a Cult fan, right? I listened to them for years. I mean, obviously back in the 80s and 90s, they were hot and all that. But and I love that sound. And you guys, you know, that became part of this. Do you think about it? Was that part of the influence?
What, the Cult?
Drum roll.
Yeah, was
yeah.
I mean, without a doubt. I mean, it's a very similar sound. I mean, you can't play music in today's world and not sound like somebody else. It's not possible.
Yeah, well, I wanted a song like She Sells Sanctuary because I love that song. So
It's a great song.
And it was like we did a demo, and it sounded like it came out like cheesy, like Foo Fighters-ish. And I was like, wait a minute. And then it's funny because I listened to the chorus and it reminds me of Wings. I don't know if you guys are Wings fans, but like I'm like the biggest Wings fan.
Yeah, totally.
But it's so, dude, it's so funny because I remember I played when the record was done. I played it for our old tour manager, and as soon as the intro hit, he's like, "Holy major chord! Like, what is this?"
Yeah, you know, I was.
And like one of the producers was like, "We need to take this shit off." Like,
no.
So it's like it's you go from like really like dark and heavy to like that, but I think lyrically it fits, and it's I like it.
You know, I was showing this song to my wife, and it maybe, I don't know if it was you, Andy, or somebody else. Somebody else I turned on to this song. I said, listen to this, and I said, this has the potential to be a big hit radio single. And their response was, well, no, I don't hear it, man. It doesn't sound like 3 Days Grace, or it doesn't sound like this, or it doesn't sound like that. And I said, well, to me, I hear, and don't cringe at this, Kyle, but to me, I remember being a kid in college getting ready to start my career in radio back in 92, 93, 90s, whatever, or late 80s. And my band opening up for another band that was big on the radio at the time, very non-traditional sounding, didn't sound like all the other crap that was out there, called Enough's Enough.
Loved
and they
Enough
had
Is
a
Enough.
huge hit. And the vocal stylings really remind me of kind of an Enough's Enough. And so my retort back to whoever this individual was, look, man, I mean, you don't want to be one giant 3 Days Grace song. Occasionally, a radio station needs to breathe a little bit. You need to throw something a little bit different into the mix. Thus, again, not to mention Greta Van Fleet, but they're one of our most viewed videos right now, and the band kind of exploded almost overnight. Very, very different for everything else that's going on in the rock format. And it was a conscious decision of mine to say, hey, let's throw our flag into this because it's so incredibly different. So I hope that's a compliment to you, Kyle, because I think that, listening to the whole record here, if I was your A&R person, I would say, look, Motherfucker's the first single, Surrender's the second single, and a song we're going to get to here in a few minutes, Sugar in the Raw, would be the third single to kind of wrap up the cycle here. But cheers on Surrender. That's a killer song. I like it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, glad you like it.
And different for a lot of the other stuff that's out there. So let's move on to Hieroglyphics. Okay. Again, another song that I just hear is a little bit on the schizophrenic side. It sounds like a couple of songs kind of mixed into one there. Was this one of those that took several rewrites to kind of get it right?
Yeah. It's really interesting because I don't think I realized. It's good to hear you say that, but I think yeah. I mean, it's like the best guitar tone I've ever heard, and like I love it so much, and it's so rad. But I look at the song as a whole. I'm just like, I probably just stuff differently.
You know, I have a question though. I'm watching you on the camera here. I can see you, right? And,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering what you're thinking while you're listening to your music. What do you think of when you hear your own music?
It's. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't listened to these songs in months, maybe, or maybe all year. I don't even know. So it's bringing back memories of when we recorded it, and they were some of the best times I've ever had, just being alive, like making it. You know.
You know what? Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Kyle, do you guys write and record collaboratively? I mean, I see you've got the piano organ there. You have the Hammond behind you. You got the guitar up there, another piano over here. Or do you do all the songwriting and then you bring in the players to do their parts down the road when you're ready to, hit the record switch?
Yeah, I with this record I played everything but drums.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and yeah, so I'll try to think what it was. This was different actually, because we had what it was? There's a guy named Franklin Vanderbilt, and he plays drums with Lenny Kravitz, and I went in with him and my buddy Claudio for 3 days, and we cut 15 songs, and 6 or 7 of those became the pre-production for the record, and then I went in with my buddy Jim to his home studio because I didn't know how to finish the songs, and then we made fully fleshed out demos of probably half the record.
Wow.
And then and then we brought in God, I'm blanking out so hard right now.
That's all right.
Kill me. How do I not? Catherine. We brought in Catherine, and she helped. Such a dick. We brought in Catherine, and then she helped flush everything out and make it pretty and stuff.
Okay.
And, but yeah, so I've been it's dude, life's crazy. I don't know how you guys are, but I'm going through this thing right now where the first record, I was just young and stupid. And are you ever do you ever get courageous just because you don't even know better?
Yes.
You know,
Always.
so
Wait,
that first
stops?
record, me and my buddy Claudio, we just recorded it. We just finagled free studio time, didn't overthink it, and just cut it. And then we put it out, and I produced half the record. And then something it goes back to me thinking it was a failure. And then I lost self-confidence, so I thought okay, I need to bring a bunch of other people in, and we did that, and it was great, and it was the best time of my life. And then we finished this cycle, and I'm wait, why? I had to rediscover myself again.
Sure.
Rediscoverability, and it's just it's weird because I don't know. It's you do something and it's great, and then you lose confidence, and then you forgot you ever do it, and then it's you need to rationally build up that courage again, So I'm at a point right now where I've got a drum kit right there, I've got a wall of guitar amps right here, so more keyboards and stuff, and my goal is to be able to produce and record records here.
Yeah.
Get everything to 80-90%, and then have someone else come in and fill it out and then put it out. And I haven't even told anyone that yet. So I've been I've been working on that all year, and it's just long and unsexy, and it's anything, It's you just do it every day, all day, and then you get better,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's probably a nice medium ground between just jumping off the cliff because the cliff is there and you're feeling bold and invincible,
Sure,
and then getting inside your head. I know for me as a creative individual, and I've been doing radio for 28 years, if I think too much about what I'm going to say or how to construct this after the mic is on,
right,
then man, the break it's just a mess. I just get in front of myself the whole damn time. Sometimes you just have to get out of your head a little bit. Be prepared. If you're not prepared, then you're doomed to fail. But be prepared,
Exactly.
and then after you're prepared, go, I'm prepared. Let's do this.
it's gonna happen, right?
It's like that David Lynch rule where it's life. There's the balance between technicality and emotion,
Yeah.
And it's like I've been in the studio with like Franklin, like he didn't know the songs really, but within 1 or 2 takes he just killed them. You know, so if you have there's a David Lynch rule where it's like if you get to 80 or 90%, you have to leave room for the magic to happen. You know, and it's so funny because like like for example, like when we were cutting this record, I broke probably 5 guitar amps in one day, and I would just I'd look at a guitar amp, it would break. And at that moment, I had a choice of saying, okay, am I going to let this wreck the session and say, oh, fuck it, I'm not supposed to make this? Or am I supposed to see what's available in the room, and then that is meant to be the tone of the day, you know? And
Ooh, okay, there you go.
When stuff falls apart, are you going to use it as a ladder to let it take you to places you wouldn't normally think of going?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's the difference between, like, it's like meditating, you know? It's like how deep you're going to get. So it's funny because, like, I was just talking to my buddy and he's recording a band, and like they started like freaking out about some stuff, and I'm like, but that's where the magic happens, you know?
Yeah.
Like when stuff stops working and everything gets fucked up, it's like you step into that and maybe something great comes that you hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
You know? Because I don't know where any of the music and lyrics come from, you know? You just lean into it and step into it, and it just appears, and it's like magic, you know?
No, that's very very cool.
But, yeah, there's a craft to it too, where it's like you got to do it every day.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned the breaking of the guitar amps because, and I like to draw a lot of conclusions the first time that I listen to an album. The very first time I listen to a record, I draw a lot of conclusions about a lot of different things, especially like, you know, what naturally speaks out to me as the first single, second single, blah 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 blah, and when I got to cut 10, I'm going, man, I remember Kyle breaking was it a Music Man guitar in Reno at a little tiny club?
That was a good show.
To be honest, like during that period, it was like, what didn't I break?
So, you know, you were one of the most compelling guitarists I've ever seen in such a small quarter like that. The emotion was palpable. It was real and it was intense. And so I'm going at cut number 10 here. I'm going, man, I kind of miss hearing Kyle get into the musicality of the guitar and kind of work that fretboard a little bit. And then I listened to the first few notes of Sugar in the Raw. Oh, yeah. Those ooh,
yeah, is that you?
Just like hooks right here, like fish hooks, man. And I heard Led Zeppelin and Jimmy Page at the beginning, and I'm going, mind blown. Tell me about it.
Dude, I'm like, I haven't heard this shit in like forever. Like, I'm so stoked with it. Okay, so I don't know if you know who Alan Lomax is. Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay, so he was this guy in... Dave Sardi turned me on him, but he was this guy in the probably late 1920s to like 60s, and he went around with a field recorder and recorded everything.
Okay.
So he went around the South and recorded the prison gangs, the gospel churches, the choirs, people on porches, the early recordings of like, I don't know, like those blues guys. I forgot the names, but you know, all those. It was like after Skip Jones and before like Howling Wolf, like in that weird in between. Wow. So
and his sounds are on what, YouTube? Where'd you hear this?
I don't know. I mean, I went to the library at USC and just stole everything.
Wow. Okay.
But I have to tell you, like they're the most. You got to find them because they're the most human recordings. Write it down.
Who is this?
I wish everyone could hear him.
Can you spell his name?
Alan Lomax. It's just Yeah, here, let me.
Alan?
Yeah.
Lomax.
Alan
text it.
Lomax. Got
Right,
it.
I don't have to text her. Yeah. But they're the most human recordings I've ever heard in my life. And it's a tape machine, and he sticks it in front of someone and they sing. And it's not perfect. It doesn't sound good, but it hits your soul.
Yeah.
The like way original idea I had for Are You Real was to make a record that was based on that and then blending hip hop elements together. And then it never happened, but this song came out of that. And it's funny because like Jimmy Page and all those people listen to Alan Lomax, and all those recordings.
Okay.
Like that whole like the Rosie, the Be My Woman If You Be My Man, the Oh Rosie, Oh Girl, like that comes from Alan Lomax. I think it's in How Many More Times, like that breakdown.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you can like piece everything back to that, and it's wonderful.
If you don't mind, let's listen to a little bit more because we haven't really gotten into the chorus. And I just thought that "Sugar in the Raw" for the name of a song was like I mean, it's something that my wife says all the time, right? Because she's
buy that.
She's
Sugar in the Raw,
all organic. It got to be sugar in the raw.
Grind till the day I die. We are all slaves to the game, trying to find our way home. How sweet this poison, sugar in the raw, sugar in the raw, sugar in the raw, sugar in the raw, sugar in the raw.
Yeah, very, very cool. One of my favorite songs on the album, I got to say.
Great song.
Yeah. Okay, so, we were talking about how the record kind of takes a dark turn, and it starts at Angel, and then Sugar in the Raw is a little dark, but Beware, my wife was listening to it, and she goes, oh my God, this is so satanic. It's so, like, dark and evil. I don't know that I like this. And I said, well, it's pretty raw, and it's Beware of Darkness. Let's take a listen.
I am jealous of my dead friends for leaving me among men who do not take the time to think. Death for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Let your body simmer, 'cause someone is hungry for more. Tell me, what did you think when you put your hand on my heart, but did not feel a beat? Tonight, no, she won't hear my prayers, no, she won't hear my prayers, no matter how loud I shout. Tonight, no, he won't hear my prayers, no, he won't hear my prayers, no matter how loud I shout.
Yeah, so I think this speaks to a commonality, and I may be totally off base here because I don't know where you're coming from with this song, but I think there's a moment in everybody's life where we consider our beginning, our being, and what it will be like for those left in our wake when we pass away. Was there any of that thought going through your head about what it's going to be like after we pass away for the people that are left?
I don't think I was that smart when I wrote it.
Okay.
I don't think I was that considerate.
I'm
But-
trying to put a smile on it somewhere, trying to draw some legitimacy here.
Yeah, some kind of positivity. Sylvia Plath is my favorite poet, and she's got, the last book she wrote was Ariel, and there's something about the tone of that where it's just so otherworldly that I was just really drawn to it. So it's funny because this Beware and Delirium, I think they're the oldest songs in the record. Like, I wrote them when I was in college. I mean, so it's like, I guess at the time, like 2 or 3 years old. And that I was just obsessed with poetry and obsessed with Sylvia Plath. So I wanted to write lyrics that were they're not ridiculous, but I wanted to write a line where you hear it and it hits you so off guard that you that you're like, what? And then it's like, is there any truth to that? And you say, yeah, you know. So it's like it's using language in a different way to get a reaction out of people, you know. And I like it, and it's funny because like we just toured. I think it was last year or something, and we played this song, and I remember singing like the opening lines and looking out at all these like, you know, teenage girls, and they were just like,
I don't know if I'm supposed to like this. I'm supposed to hate it. What's going on here? I hear you.
Like,
yeah.
oh.
Very cool. Let's listen to the last track on the record. It's called Delirium from Beware of Darkness and the album Are You Real?
You cannot see things as they are. You're blind to the hell you drag me through. Possessed, it's taken full control of you. You're not the one I fell in love with a lifetime ago. So please see through your delirium. Wake up to see the monster that you become. Release, there's nothing more that I can do. You're killing yourself and all the ones who love you.
Yeah, very, very cool. There's so much almost psychedelia going on with this. I can almost see, you know, in the background. I don't know if you ever went to Iron Butterfly or saw any of these, you know, old 60s hippie bands where they have like the weird ink splat on the back where there's somebody literally pressing on the ink pad and they're shooting up the images of all the inks kind of blending in. Okay, well.
I haven't done that much drugs.
You had to be there. I was. My very first show ever, my mom took me to go and see Iron Butterfly in the Inagata-Vita tour. True story. She took this. I was 7 years old. She took this this girl who, her parents were big-time country fans. They were old school South Texas, like the dad went hunting every weekend. You're going to take my daughter where? At 7 years old. And so my mom said, oh, it's a concert in the park. It's a band called something Butterfly. It's going to be great. And she thought it was a jazz band,
What's
right?
going to be butterflies?
And so we go to, you know, Iron Butterfly doing a show in the park, and they're playing Inagata-Vita, and there are people smoking doobies next to us. And it was the first time I ever heard my mother cuss when some guy whistled at her, because my mom was pretty smoking hot back in the day, and she told him, fuck you. And I went, whoa, wow.
Wait, I've met your mom. I can't imagine
Yes,
fuck
she
you
did.
coming
I
out
know,
of her
I know.
mouth.
So, all right, tell us about Delirium. You said it was one of the oldest ones on the record, yeah?
Yeah, you know what? I think I wrote that. I wrote the music when I was 18, but I didn't have meaningful lyrics, and the lyrics came. It just fit in. It just fit in right there. Yeah, and I think this is one of the ones where everything broke on it. But it's funny about the psychedelic thing because I didn't pick up on that, but I've had a lot of people say that.
Okay,
So-
well, good. At least I'm not alone. You're
Yeah.
wrong, man. You were wrong.
You're the only one. You're the only one.
I'll talk
Hey,
to the guy
so-
that wrote it.
You know, I mean, we met. I met you at Jave's house a few years ago, right? Just before they left for Texas, and I'll be honest, Jave gave me. I got your album, and I was listening to it, and I lost it, and I always was like, "Where's my
What?
Beware of Darkness album?"
Oh.
I couldn't find it. You guys aren't on Amazon. It was like, God, I missed that. Right? I had a couple of songs, but it was like that other album. And so when we came back around to this, and I got this, I started listening to this. I'm like, yeah, that's why I really enjoyed it. So I really do. I like what you guys do. I appreciate actually everything we're doing right now with the bands that are out that we're interviewing. So if you watch any of our other interviews and our other videos, everybody's kind of different, and I love that. You know, there's an element to the mainstream. I don't listen to a lot of radio because it's, well, he's on it, and I don't want to hear that shit in the morning.
Stop it.
But no, I'm just kidding. But you know, it's I don't. I you know, I have a 7-minute drive to work. I have a 7-minute drive home, and that's that. The rest of it's all shit that I see. I get on Amazon or stuff that I listen to. But I really kind of it's glad to come back around. I'm glad you guys are here. I asked the question. Normally when someone puts out an album, within a couple of years, the label's going, hey, where's your next album? It's been a few for you guys. But we were doing a little research, and I want to know what happened to Tony.
Yeah, why do you hate Tony so much?
I don't think you hate Tony, but I want to know what happened.
I love him. It's a long story. And
Okay.
I don't really want to.
You don't want to get. He doesn't want to
You
get
know
into
what?
the
No,
drama
Carl.
behind
But
it.
honestly, and now I'm listening to you. I read. You know, I kind of looked at that a little bit, and I hear you talk about recording this album on your own, and you did everything except the drums. Was Tony involved? And is it okay? Are we going to see
Yeah.
you guys again? And is it going to be good?
We had a guy named Hayden Scott, and he was in AWOL Nation for I think a lot of years, like 5 or 6 years. So he's playing drums on the record. And I love Tony. Like he's a brother to me, and we went on a crazy journey together. You know, so I have no like malice. But it's relationships. You know, sometimes they work out, and sometimes they don't work out. And the thing about it is, you know, when you enter a new relationship with someone, you don't know if it's going to last for a day or your whole life, you know? So
What's your favorite saying for the moment, for the season, for the reason?
So,
for the...
no, you meet people in your life, they're for a season or a reason or a lifetime. And
yeah.
you never know when you meet that person, right?
Yeah. You know,
I'm stuck with this fucking guy, I think. I don't
For the
know.
season. The season's
right now,
almost over. Huh?
Well, no, there was the season. God, it's been a season and a half, right? But ultimately, there's people in your life, and you could probably still love Tony, but you just don't work in this environment at the moment. I don't know what it is, but I got to ask because you were you were together for so long.
Yeah. I mean, it's I was going to say a further point to the not knowing how long it's going to last. It's a further reason to just treasure every day and every moment. You know.
Yeah,
of course.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's relationships. You know, it's a lot of things.
So, Kyle,
Sure.
let me ask you on that note, looking at the future, what does the next 12 to 16 months hold? I know Cheryl has breathed, and you guys have breathed a little new life into Motherfucker. Are you guys looking at, maybe restarting this project from ground zero and working 3 singles to radio, or are you looking at just saying, you know what, this was an experiment, it didn't go the way we were hoping, or we did what we wanted to do with it, let's go back to the drawing board? Where's your head at?
I think we pushed like 3 or 4 singles that did okay, and then Motherfucker came up again. So I'm like, I just went to Sedona for 2 weeks to just like write, and I wrote I think 15 songs, and
Wow.
I'm going to my buddy's house tomorrow, who we worked with on the first record, and I'm going to play him a bunch of music and do all that. So I've got like 45 songs like recorded like 60 to 70% of the way, where you can hear the idea and everything, and I just it's crazy because there's probably like 4 or 5 directions I could go in, and my biggest thing is not write with any expectation, so not write because I want to make money, not write because I want to be successful, not write because this is the album someone else thinks I should make, it's just write from a place
Good for you.
here, because honestly it's like it's funny because it's just like I don't know how you'd live with yourself as an artist if you wrote songs to make money and then became successful for that. That feels empty. So my whole thing is like, I'm just focusing on myself right now, getting better, writing every day, recording every day, and then making something that I'm truly proud of and that's truly unique. And, and everything else takes care of itself, If the song, I'm a firm believer, it's like if the song is there, then everything else is easy,
Well, don't be too surprised if us 2 idiots end up, taking a trip. I need to go down to Paso Robles anyway sometime soon.
So without a
I
doubt.
would be mad if you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then we'll keep in touch and we'll come down.
Both of you.
Should chat.
That would be we
you
have,
get all 4 of us, just
yeah,
so you know.
you have to bring. We got to bring the crazy girls.
2 dudes
with
and the
us.
2 hot chicks.
Yeah, okay.
We travel with hot chicks. We can't help it. It's just what we do.
It's just what we do, brother. I love you. It is
you,
so
Kyle.
great
Yeah.
to see you and to be able to, spend an hour just talking about this new record, man. I can't wait
Yeah,
for
I really
future
appreciate
stuff.
what you guys do in the format. It's really unique, and I I appreciate it because, usually people are like, how did you guys meet? And this is a great way to actually talk about, songs in the record. So thank you guys, and thanks for taking the time out.
Oh yeah. We figured
Of course.
no one else is doing it, and we're curious. Maybe somebody else will be curious.
It's really smart. Because as a fan, I would love this.
Right
if there's a band I like, I'd like to hear them actually talk about every song they put out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thanks very much for the endorsement. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch up very, very soon. I hopefully we'll see you
Kyle,
guys back here.
Yeah, come
in
up here
Reno
and
or
play.
whatever.
Let's hang, bro.
Yeah, let's do it. And come down to Santa Barbara.
Yes,
we will.
I don't know how far it is.
Like we need any excuses
not
to
that
go to
far.
Santa Barbara. It's
Bro,
six,
it's not
six
that far.
hours. 6 hours.
It's 6 hour drive.
That's it?
That's
Well,
it.
You
I have a
can do
Porsche.
it right now. Come on.
As long as
just
you have a
did a
place
lesson
for
the
us
other
to
day.
stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can all just sleep there on the studio
Yeah,
floor.
right
It'll be fun.
here.
I got the Hammond. All right.
Thanks, Kyle.